Hey guys, today we're going to be taking a look at the Saga series of pickleball paddles from Vatic Pro. This is their newest lineup, where they now use a slightly different construction process compared to their previous models. For the shape options, this will be familiar for most of you, but they have the elongated V7 and the curved hybrid flash. For both of these, they have two handle length options. The standard, which is 5.3 inches, and the LH or long handle, which is 5.75 inches. As of now, all of these options are only going to come in a 16mm core thickness. These are actually the same options you see for Vatic's Prism series, and as far as measurements such as swing weights and twist weights, the average numbers for each model that I tested between the two series is about the same. Now, I'm not going to list all these numbers as there are quite a bit of them, and you can actually see Vatic's own measurements on their own website. Moving on to the construction, the Saga is a cold press paddle that's also similar in construction to Vatic's Prism series. They aren't thermoformed, so they aren't heated in a hot mold, but they do have edge foam, so there is perimeter weighting for an enhanced sweet spot. However, there are a few differences that Vatic says is different between the Saga and the Prisms. For starters, Vatic hasn't disclosed any details on this, but it does claim that the manufacturing process for the Saga is custom and not the same Gen 1.5 construction that you see in paddles like the Prism, Hyperions, or the Jelly Beans. Next, the Saga uses a privately sourced polypropylene core, which they've now set with a 10mm core cell diameter size. And finally, while Vatic's previous paddles all used carbon fiber in the surface, the Saga uses their own proprietary composite material. Given all that, how does the Saga series play, and how is it different from Vatic's previous series? Let's start by briefly going over their previous series first. Vatic's original lineup, which we'll refer to as their Pro line, uses Gen 2 thermoforming, so these are their all-court style paddles that have a stiffer feel to them. The Prisms, on the other hand, are their control lineup, which have a much softer and plush feel. Since the construction of the Saga is similar to the Prisms, its feel is more similar to it as well, as it does have a softer and more plush feel, especially compared to the Pro line. Though I do think it's not quite as soft and is more similar to the CFC surface of the Monarch Jelly Bean series instead. While you do get that softer feel on impact, the surprising part is how there is noticeably less dwell time on the paddle compared to both of Vatic's previous series. It's interesting and not something I've experienced before, where you are met with that plush feel on your shots, but the ball shoots off the face quicker than you expect. For me, this did take a few games to adjust to, because normally I associate softer paddles with having more control and less pop, but I had to adjust to the ball shooting off the paddle face much quicker than I anticipated, making the paddle more difficult to control than the other Vatic paddles. It was an unfamiliar feeling, but ultimately one I got the hang of after some time. Now, while the Prisms are control paddles and the Pro paddles are all court, I classify the Saga series in that all-court leaning power and the power category. One thing to remember is that there are different shape and handle options available, so depending on which one you get, your experience will be different. The standard flash is going to be the softest option, and this one is more all-court leaning power, which is followed by the flash long handle that is at the top of that category. The V7 shapes I classify as power paddles, with the standard option being right there at the bottom of that category, while the long handle is slightly above it. I found the V7s to be more powerful, and they were comparable in firepower to the Spartus Olympus, but the flash variant was just underneath all of those in power. As for the pop, the handle length I found didn't affect this that much, and it was mostly the shapes where I saw a difference. For me, the V7s had a slightly stiffer feel and a bit more pop than the flash shape, but I wouldn't say that either one had crazy amounts of pop that you see on other power paddles like the Rhombus Ripple or Yola Mods. I would put the pop just underneath the Spartus Olympus again, as I do think it has more pop than the Pro Series and Prisms, but not by a significant amount. Because of the similar construction, the Saga series is one that is comparable to the Paddletech TKO series. They're both paddles that opt to not use thermoforming, so they will be more durable, as you won't have to worry about core crushing, but their unique construction allows them to have more power than most Gen 2s and be in a more powerful category. The one big difference is that the Saga uses edge foam, which adds that perimeter weighting for the sweet spot, while the TKO paddles use targeted weights. I found the former to be superior in giving you a better sweet spot, and the Saga is the more forgiving paddle. That said, I wouldn't call the Saga paddles simply a paddle tech with edge foam. They have a bit less power and pop, and they have a noticeably softer feel to them that is reminiscent of a Gen 1.5 paddle. I do enjoy the Saga paddles and think they're a great entry-level power paddle option that many people could pick up and use. It's a great option for people that enjoy the feel of the Prism series but want a boost in firepower. However, if you don't like that softer feel and enjoy the stiffer and more responsive feedback of a Gen 2 or Gen 3 paddle, this may not be for you. But the Sagas are a very affordable paddle at $140 after a discount code, and I think they are worth trying out. So if you do want to pick one up, I've added my discount code here and a link to buy them in the video description below when they do release.